Two of the newest classified series are here, and these are two of my most anticipated figures in the entire series, to be quite honest, because everybody wants General Hawk. Everybody's been clamoring for General Hawk for a long time now. So General Hawk finally has a figure. And then Mr. Shockwave here is a fan favorite of mine. Maybe not yours. Maybe not a lot of people. He's definitely not a major character in the cartoon or the comic books. He was barely in the comic book at all. And even in the cartoon, I think he was only in a couple episodes of the DIC version, the Deke version, when it got really bad with the headhunter, anti-drug stories and stuff like that. So he's beyond not a super popular character, but I'll go over why he's popular. He means a lot to me when I get to his box. So this wave also had a couple of the Dreadnoks in it, which I did not get yet because, it's Christmas time. I'm spread a little thin. I got kids. You know what I mean? I got to be a little choosy this time of year with what I get. So I'd love to get them and show them off on the channel. But I need a few more subscribers to make that worthwhile. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I did get these in the mail from Amazon. I did see Hawk on the shelf at Target. I haven't seen Shockwave yet, but Hawk was there at Target. So let's get to the individual figures and talk about them. All right, so first up, we got to start with General Hawk. Now, General Hawk's had a weird history, action figure wise. He was not a general at first. So his first figure was just called Hawk. And it was very generic. In series 1 and 2, it was just a complete generic green jumpsuit. It was nothing special. And then his version 2 figure in 1986, series 5, that's actually what this is based on. This is when he got sort of his leadership uniform. He's got, the bomber jacket on and the green camo pants, the green helmet and everything. That's from that figure specifically. And I actually didn't have that figure growing up. I had his next version figure, but I'll show that off once we get the figure out of the box. And the figure I actually had was the first one where he was named General. Because like I said, he was not always the General. General Flag was the General before him. And then General Flag, I think, got killed. And then eventually there was another General or something like that. And then he became a General. And I believe this is from the comic book continuity. And he's gone through some brutal stories in the comic book, let me tell you. Obviously, he was in the cartoon quite a lot too. He did have a minor role in the movie. I love the G.I. Joe movie, so I always have to mention that here. And, his role in the movie was just to court-martial Lieutenant Falcon for having the ugliest classified figure in the whole series, the ugliest head in the whole series. He got court-martialed and sent to Sergeant Slaughter to whip him into shape. But all joking aside, it's really nice to have General Hawk Clayton Abernathy in the series finally, because Duke and Flint are leaders too, but obviously he's the head honcho. He's the leader of the whole, G.I. Joe, conglomerate. So it's honestly kind of weird that we had to wait this long for a figure. And it's pretty weird, this picture on the front right here. Look at that in the background. That's almost like his second costume that I'm talking about. His version 2 figure, his General Hawk version 1 figure. That's sort of what it looks like. Maybe it's foreshadowing. Dun dun dun. But anyways, you got the normal box right here, non-windowed box still, so action shot. You got the art right there, all the accessories right there. He just comes with guns and helmets and glasses, so there's not much in there in the sense of unique things, I guess, but it's General Hawk. We needed him. First side, he is 103 in the series, so it took 103 figures to get the leader of G.I. Joe, which is kind of weird. A blown up version of the art on the side, 103 in the series. Going to the back, it's the normal back. So, him and all his CGI accessories. Some shots right there. A little Yo-Joe on his shoulder. And he is leadership, light weapons, artillery, and tactics. So obviously, General. He's a general. He's the leader. He's the big head honcho man. And then going to Mr. Shockwave. And I love Shockwave. And like I said, Shockwave's not a major character. He actually didn't have a lot of figures. He only had 3 figures, I think. This is based on his version 1 figure from Series 7 in 1988. And I did have this when I was younger. I don't have it anymore. But I actually explained this a little bit in my, top 5 G.I. Joe classified figures with Alley Viper. But there was spans in my childhood where I didn't get a lot of new toys, right? And so one of the big spans where I didn't get a lot of new G.I. Joes was when I had Shockwave, when I had Alley Viper. I had, I think, maybe the version 3 or 4 of Snake Eyes. And so those 3 Joes in Alley Viper, or those 2 Joes in Alley Viper, like I played with non-stop for months and months and months. So Shockwave, it's a weird, like just random character in there. So man, was I excited when Hasbro announced this, because again, Shockwave's not a well-known dude. Like I'm sure he's not a lot of people's favorites, but I was so looking forward to this because he was my guy back in the day. His original figure, 1988. Oh man, it was so good. And this looks so good too. This render right here, the artwork right there, oh, it brings me back. He's got his signature, you know, Uzis up here. He's got some knives. One of the big riot shields. Oh man, this I have a feeling this is gonna be one of my favorite figures in the series so far. And it's almost purely nostalgia talking, I'm sure. So he's 105 in the series. More art on the other side, 105. All right, the CGI renders of all his accessories. A little up close there. A little up close on his chest piece, his vest. All right, and his icons are Vanguard, because he's got a shield. That's what sort of Vanguard means. The guys with the, you know, shield, light weapons. Tactics, so he can do tactics, and urban combat. So obviously he's sort of like a riot cop, essentially. But I love the blue, and I can't wait to get them open and take a peek. All right, let's open the general and get our orders. All right, General Hawk is here. He is released from his cardboard prison, and I must say that I really like this figure. There's a lot of new stuff here. There is some reuse from the waist down. His legs, kneecaps, boots, feet, and everything are all Outback, and so even Outback could be reused from someone else. I'm not going to go through 100 figures to find the reuse or whatever. But these, I noticed right away where these are Outback's legs. Crotch piece, legs, knee pads, boots are from Outback. But the top part is completely new sculpt as far as I can tell. Even the belt's a new sculpt. I haven't seen this accessory on anybody yet. And obviously the bomber jacket is unique to General Hawk. So it looks like a unique sculpt to me. And I'm very actually impressed with this. I'm impressed with the paint job and the sculpt work, both of them. They look so good. Like it really has that leather sort of look to it. It's got a nice shine to it. Like, you know, that shiny sort of leather look to it. And then, you know, all the painted on accents, the zippers and stuff with a slightly like gold color. Like I think the jacket looks a ballin'. Jacket looks pretty freaking cool. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We always start with the head, right? So the head sculpts in the G.I. Joe franchise, mostly I like. And this one, it's no different. I think this looks like what he needs to look like, meaning Duke, to me, looked a little too young because, you know, I think of at least General Hawk and Duke to be like the elder statesman a little bit. Like, obviously, Hawk is the oldest one out of, you know, the leaders, Duke, Flint. And you can definitely tell that from this figure. He's even got that sort of gray in his hair. So he's got the brown hair with the gray in it. And like I said before, I didn't have this figure growing up. This figure this is based on, the version 3 figure, I actually had. I do still have it. I actually had this one. So again, this is the first General Hawk figure. The figure this is based on was just called Hawk. And this General Hawk figure, I don't have his accessories or anything, but this is the Hawk that I grew up with. This is the one he came with, like, you know, he had a jetpack on his thing with wings coming out. I have pictures here. But obviously, you know, he would fly around, so he needed a shield on his head. And this is the only Hawk I had when I was growing up. So this is my Hawk, if that makes sense. But obviously, I know how iconic this costume is to Hawk, based on the comic books, based on, you know, the cartoon and everything. But man, I really do like this head sculpt and the likeness. This is exactly what I would expect Hawk to look like. And again, he's got that iconic bomber jacket with the green camo pants. So again, if you know G.I. Joe, you can see him from a distance and you can be like, oh, you know, that's General Hawk right there. So let's keep looking at the details of the costume. Obviously, I've already talked about this bomber jacket. It's got, you know, some sculpted fur around the collar, which looks really good. Hasbro is still not very good at paint matching. You could tell the color on his chest is definitely a different color than the plastic of the head and the neck. So there's definitely, you know, a distinction there that I can tell. Maybe, you know, you can't tell, but, you know, I can tell. Whatever. He's got the basic G.I. Joe articulation. Yes, I say that a million times because I don't want to go over every single figure. The only thing he's missing, I'm sure you've noticed, is there's no ab crunch, right? So he doesn't have an ab crunch, so he really doesn't go forward and backwards very much. He's kind of a stiff old man. And obviously they probably did no ab crunch because the sculpt work on the vest. They wanted to keep it with this aesthetic, and definitely an ab crunch would have changed the aesthetic a little bit. And I don't mind it whatsoever to not have an ab crunch on him. I think I'm really happy with the sculpt work on this jacket. So I definitely think that's a win rather than a loss. He does have butterfly joints, and this butterfly joint, I don't know if you could tell, see when I hit it, it sort of jiggles a little bit. It's super loose. Not that it really affects anything. Like, it doesn't affect movement at all, but like, look at it jiggle. It's very, very loose, but you know, it looks fine just standing still, which is what he's gonna do, stand still like an old man. I do like this gun holster going around him, but it does fit on him kind of awkwardly, I think, meaning this piece is pretty, I don't know, it's not really up on him very well. And then this piece right out of the box was like this, but obviously I don't think he's wearing it like that, up there like that. So if you sort of stretch it out like this, because this collar is not raised, it can't go under the collar. Like, it would look best if it could like tuck under the collar right there, but it can't. So, I mean, to me, it looks a little awkward. It's not like it's a deal breaker or anything, but it does. To me, it kind of looks kind of awkward, this floaty strap over here, and then this one that doesn't tuck under anything. So again, maybe looks a little awkward to me. So going down to the pants, he's got nice textured pants. Again, these are Outback's legs. So you've seen this texture before, but he does have that, you know, darker green camo on the sides. Going down the sides, the camo sort of stops. It's just like a plain, you know, green color. And then this side's pretty blank. This side does have a little bit more camo than the other side. A little bit more, you know, contrast, I guess you can say, but you know, it is what it is. He's got a belt here with another gun holster. So he's got two handguns in there. So handgun. He's got two like shotguns. So he's got to hold those in his hand. One of them does have a strap, so you can put it around the arm. We'll look at that in a second. And he does have a helmet and two goggles. So we'll look at those next. So helmet, obviously, he is known for this green helmet. And let's get it on there, see how he looks with it. And yeah, that's General Hawk. The original figure this is based on had the loose green helmet in the package that you can take on and off too. It definitely looked a lot different than this. It was very bulky, so it did look kind of goofy, you know what I mean? And then the General Hawk version, the one I had, didn't have a helmet, but he definitely looks good with the helmet on. And he, in one of sort of odd choices, I'd rather him not have two of these and have a different accessory, but he does come with two goggles. And so as far as I can tell, what I think, I haven't watched any videos or anything about this yet, is they're definitely different sizes. So I think one of them is made to go on the helmet, if you want the aesthetic of, you know, the goggles on the helmet. And then one of them actually goes on his head. So we'll look at the head one first. Let's take off the helmet and get his goggles on his face to see what it looks like. All right, so there's his goggles, you know, silver and black. They're just plain sort of goggles, but they look good. They stay on his head really good. They're really tight. They have to go over the top of his ears. I guess it looks better than putting it over his ears. I think the silver reflective part looks a little off center again, just like low light. Low light was like this too. His goggles were, the actual paint app on them was like off a little bit. And this one looks a little off too. But I mean, it looks pretty good. Let's see what it looks like with the helmet on too. Let's see if he can fit it with the helmet. Yep. So he can fit the helmet on the down goggles if you want to display them like that. Looks pretty good. Like I said, the bigger set of goggles goes on the helmet. So if you want to, display them with the helmet on and the goggles on the helmet, that's why they included a second set. I wish it could have been different so we could get a different accessory rather than having two different goggles for the same thing, essentially. But, you know, again, it does look good. It was kind of tricky to get on centered. You want to try to center it, I guess, with the star on the helmet, in the center of the helmet. But it looks good with it on there. Like, it definitely, you know, that's General Hawk right there. That's his, you know, signature look. All right, so off to the accessories. He does come with 2 handguns, like I said before. He does have 2 holsters. So he's got a smaller handgun right here, which I don't think is a unique sculpt. I think I've seen this somewhere before. But, you know, it's just they're plain black handguns. Not too much detail. However, this one right here does have a super unique handle. It's got that, you know, General Hawk sort of star on the handle. So this might be a unique sculpt here. I don't remember seeing this. So I do really like this one for sure. This one is just pretty generic. And this one's got, you know, some flair on it, some stars on it. So I definitely dig it. All right, so I'm guessing the smaller one goes here. And then the slightly bigger one with the star handle probably goes here, because that's what it looks like from the holsters. All right, there we go. So yep, he's got both of those in his holsters right there. Looks really good with them in there. He looks mad. He looks ready to lead. He looks like a hawk. All right, so his 2 bigger guns, like I said. So, you know, a hallmark of the G.I. Joe classified series is the figures being able to hold all their accessories. So he can hold these. You can have the pistols in the holsters and these in his hands, and then he has everything. Or this one does have a strap, this grenade launcher right here. So obviously it looks like he's got a shotgun right here and a grenade launcher. There's no paint accents, which is kind of surprising, because G.I. Joe actually has been doing a lot of paint accents lately. And General Hawk honestly does not come with a lot of accessories. So I'm kind of surprised these are as plain as they are. But I mean, they are what they are. Got a shotgun, got a grenade launcher. This can probably go around the shoulder, which I'll probably get some pictures of. But, you know, the sculpt's pretty good. I don't recognize these from anywhere else. So they could be unique sculpts, at least this grenade launcher. Shotgun, there's been quite a few shotguns, so it might be reused from something. But the sculpt work is pretty good. And obviously I do like this one having a strap so it can go around his shoulder. So that is Hawk with all of his accessories, and I'm pretty darn pleased with this figure. I think the shining star of this figure is just the leather vest. I really love the texture. I love how they made it shiny. I love the paint job on it. I love the accents and everything. And it quintessentially looks like General Hawk. Like, again, iconic General Hawk. This is it. All right, Shockwave's turn. I'm excited. All right, Shockwave is here, and he definitely rekindles my nostalgia for this figure. It's definitely pretty cool. I've looked around for reuse. I'm sure there's reuse on his body. It's just a different paint job. But there is a lot of new stuff here. Vest is new. You know, this armband is new as far as I can tell. These leg bands, I haven't seen this exact design, so these must be new too. So there's definitely a lot of new with him. And I mean, Shockwave really stands out because his color scheme, right? And this definitely shares a lot of the design elements from the original figure that I'm talking about, that I had, that I played with nonstop during my childhood, because it had those blocky, again, those really blocky sort of camouflage, like that pixelated sort of camouflage look a little bit. And they definitely kept those design elements here. All right, so checking out the body, a lot of the times the vests in the G.I. Joe Classified series definitely look too big. They look a little too puffy, I guess you could say. But I think his looks right on. Like, it looks great. I like how it's got this knife holster here, upside down. Pshoo. And it's pretty similar to the first figure, right? Like I said, this really is a homage to the first figure. From the color to the design elements. I think the weakest thing on the body is actually the head. The head sculpt looks a little plain to me. It looks a little weak. And I thought the head might be reused, but I've checked Beachhead, I've checked Storm Shadow. I don't have all the figures, so maybe, you know, I don't have the original Firefly. This could be reused from their heads or whatever. But it looks to be based on what I have, a unique sculpt, but it does look very plain. Like, it looks a little boring, I guess, if you ask me. The paint job and everything looks very boring, but I mean, it works for what he is. Like, he always had his hat on in the original figure. His hat wasn't removable, I don't believe, so he does come with a hat here. So let's get his hat on and see if it changes anything. Oh man, that looks so good. That looks so good. Let's get it on there straight. That looks so good. Man, this is bringing me back so much. You have no idea. All right, so thumbs up so far. So going to the sculpt work, obviously, like I said, I do like the vest. I don't think it's too puffy. It's got some good sculpt work on it. It definitely looks like a sort of a ballistics, you know, urban warfare sort of vest on here. It's got some shells right there, a knife holster, some pouches for things. Going down to the arms, he's got that, you know, painted on camo right there. He does have some sculpted pockets on each side too. So that could be a unique sculpt right there. I really like his gloves, how his fingers are exposed on his gloves. It definitely, the different color contrast definitely makes it look really good. The light blue, dark blue, black, and then his fingers poking out, you know what I mean? Like, it definitely looks pretty cool. And I definitely love him with this helmet, this hat, by the way. And going down to the legs, these holsters here are for his two Uzis. And they look really good. Again, I haven't seen straps like this, so I think these might be new pieces just for him. Not 100% sure, like I said. He's got a little bit of a wonky articulation, I guess, meaning his drop down hip right here, it doesn't go in. So I don't know if this is like a production error or whatever, but it's kind of sticking out. If you can see, it sticks out way more than the right hand side. I wish I could get it in there, but it's not like going in, which I'm sure you can see on camera right there. I'm not crazy. And then he's got some pretty big gaps right here. Look at that giant gap in his articulation right there. There's a huge gap. This side, it's a little bit less, but this side is super noticeable. Like, there's a giant gap right there in his bicep articulation. I don't know. It doesn't distract too much, I guess, but it's definitely noticeable. Like, you could see, you know, my finger through his arm, which is kind of weird, but I don't know. It is what it is. Hasbro's got a Hasbro. And going down to the legs, he does have shin guards. They are, you know, straight, so no more crooked shin guards. This piece was super wonky. When I first took him out of the package, it was like way down here. But if you actually line it up with the grooves, the sculpted on grooves in his boot, it'll stay nice and sturdy right there. So he does have a knife holder here, and he's got another one there. He does come with two knives, and two Uzis, and a nightstick and a shield, which we'll look at in a second. But, so, you know, just looking at the figure, we're starting with the figure, obviously. Obviously, this is super nostalgic for me, and it definitely does look just like the old figure, but updated. So this is a win-win to me. I'm definitely pleased with how he looks. I don't really like this hip sticking out, but, you know, Hasbro got a Hasbro. All right, and he does come with two knives, like I said, so a very, very short knife here. There's hardly any, you know, difference between actually the knife and the handle, right? So I don't think I've seen this knife sculpt before. This knife is, I've never seen this knife before either. It's a handle, or maybe I have, I don't know. I've opened so many of these, I don't really know. But it's got like a little hook at the end right here. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's pretty cool. Like the sculpts of these are pretty cool. They're definitely pretty unique. There's just no paint details. I wish they had paint details, but, you know, on Shockwave, his shield, I'm sure, took most of his budget. All right, so small knife, I'm sure, goes up here. Ching. See if it stays in there. Yep, staying in there pretty good. So small one goes up there, and then the one with the hook on the end, I'm sure will go down here, just like that. So there we go. He's got both of his knives, one right there, and one up on his chest like that. All right, two Uzi type weapons here. He did come with one in the original figure. In the original figure, he came with a backpack. He came with a knife that hooked into the backpack, and then an Uzi also. So, you know, these are, again, a weapon that he had in the original figure, which is pretty cool. So this one doesn't come with a backpack, obviously, like the original did, but, you know, it comes with most of the same stuff. So there's two different ones here. They can go in each of his sides, and they got two ammo clips, which obviously hook right in there on those All right, and there's the two Uzis with the ammo clips hooked up in there. And the ammo clips actually go in quite a lot. And one of the guns, I don't know why. One of the guns, it was actually much harder to put in the ammo clip. So they're the same exact sculpt, but you know, there must be some production things going on with the inside of them. But I did get the clips in relatively the same length on both of them. All right, and like I said, it goes right in the holsters on his hips. So he's holding everything. Right, and then a nightstick. Again, this is kind of a boring sculpt. There's no paint details or anything, but it is a nightstick, or, you know, a police baton, police stick, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, there's no way to put this on the body, so he must have to hold this. But it is what it is. It's kind of boring, but I guess he needs one. He's a riot cop. All right, and this is the piece of the set, as I unironically say. And he's got a shield, just like, you know, Alley Viper. He's the opposite of Alley Viper, the blue Alley Viper. And this looks very, very good. The sculpt work is great. I think these are supposed to be lights, you know what I mean? Like blinding lights to blind as he, you know, suppresses crowds in urban environments. I love this anti, like, cobra symbols on here. Like, this is so cool. It's got some, you know, light gray paint accents on there. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this is like a strobing light to like blind people as, you know, you're corralling them down an alley or something. And then flipping around to the back, one thing you'll notice on this, unlike Alley Vipers, which switches around, this one, Mr. Shockwave here, holds this in his right hand and uses guns and stuff with his left hand. So he must be left-handed, which, you know, that's interesting. It's not like, you know, there's a left-handed G.I. Joe. But it's cool because there's left-handed people in the world. And so I guess he's one of them, right? So it does have a shiny tone on the back. It's got, you know, this is what he holds with his hand, and then his arm goes through there, which we'll see in a second. But man, this shield looks awesome. I really like the design notes on it. All right, shield's on, and he looks really good. Like, this is definitely Shockwave. The hand goes forward and backwards. So if you can see he's got it straight in his hand, and it goes like this, but this arm guard is like bending it because it can't go straight if it's in line with his arm. So you got to sort of put it like not in line with this, I guess. And it's almost the same thing with the shield too. The shield is very difficult to actually get in his hand from this angle, and the clip that you put his arm in, it lines right up with this like arm guard right here, and it definitely disrupts it a little bit. So it's just one of those weird, I don't know, it's sort of a weird design choice, the way where everything is. Like these arm guards, if these arm guards weren't here, neither of these would be a problem. So maybe he doesn't need the arm guards, but you know, he does need them. I don't know. I mean, he definitely looks good with them, but some of the accessories definitely, it makes them line up a little awkwardly. But man, he looks good with this shield. I'm pretty pumped about this figure. I like this figure quite a lot. So let's take some pictures and do some final thoughts on these two Joes. Alright, so that is Shockwave and General Hawk. General Hawk is finally here. And I really like both of these figures. There's not a lot of reuse. Shockwave brings me back to my childhood. He was one of my favorite Joes growing up. I played with him like nonstop, and I love his unique sort of blue look to him. And that shield is amazing. It's a very good piece. There's minor Hasbro production issues, like there is every time. General Hawk is General Hawk. I think the likeness in the face is amazing. I love the gray in the hair. I really love the bomber jacket. And he doesn't come with a lot of accessories. I'm a little disappointed with his accessories for the most part, but it's definitely classic General Hawk. You can tell just by looking at him. And so I definitely give both of these guys the thumbs up. But there we go. That's Shockwave and General Hawk. So I don't know. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, thanks for tuning in to another Figurama video. And make sure you stay tuned for more, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Tell me down below what you think of these two figures, and peace out.